Welcome to Inside Arvada, the official podcast of the City of Arvada. I'm one of your hosts, Sean Stars. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Our topic is illegal toy vehicles. You've been seeing them all around town, and so we brought on Chase Amos, a public information officer with the Arvada Police Department, to learn more about which of these devices are legal and which ones aren't legal. Chase has been with the Arvada Police Department for 3 years now, after a 5-year tour in the U.S. Foreign Service, working in various roles in the U.S. Embassy in Israel. Prior to that, Chase was a San Diego County Deputy Sheriff working patrol for the city of Imperial Beach, California. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host today, Katie Patterson. Hi, Katie.
Hey, Sean. Yeah, it's good to talk to Chase. I really just didn't realize how many different types of these toy vehicles are out there these days. And, maybe mini dirt bikes were around when I was a kid, but not a lot else. And you definitely didn't see them out on roads. And so a lot of these vehicles can just go really fast, really quickly. And, young kids riding them even sometimes. And so he has a lot of good information to share. And I think it's just, a reminder of we have a driving age and a test you have to take to be able to get a license and be on roads for a reason. And he digs into really kind of, what the different types of safety concerns we're seeing out there are. Hi, Chase. Thanks for joining us today. So we had you on about a year ago, and we were talking about kind of the police department operations more generally. But just start us off with reminding us a little bit about what you do for Arvada PD.
Yeah, so I'm a public information officer with the Arvada Police Department, and primarily focusing on internal communications. And in reality, what that looks like is working with the media a lot, and also our website and the department's social media.
And so we wanted to have you on now, again, because you were a great guest the first time, obviously, number one. But number two is you've been doing some campaigning, public information about illegal devices, toy vehicles, unusual vehicles, however you want to term it, that we're seeing around town in our trails, in our parks, and on streets. And so catch us up to speed about people, what's going on with these devices and what should parents know, kind of what's the trend of this topic right now.
Sure. But first of all, am I the first repeat guest?
No.
No.
I think you're the third repeat guest. Yeah.
We've had a couple.
Am I an official friend of the pod at
For
least?
sure,
There we go.
definitely.
You're the first friend of the pod.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. I'll take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We're obviously here to talk about, this rising trend that we're seeing around town. And, in my own personal life, I'm seeing it. In other parts of the Denver metro area, our officers are seeing it themselves. But primarily, we're hearing about it from residents. We've been getting a lot of complaints through dispatch, just traffic complaints, through Ask Arvada, and then through City Council as well. And really what it all kind of boils down to is people, improperly or illegally in some cases, using a vehicle in a road, park, trail, etc., where it's not supposed to be.
Before we kind of get into what's legal and what's not legal, can you kind of estimate this trend? How much has it increased, and when did it start kind of really blowing up? It seems like over the past 6 months or so.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to pinpoint, exact statistics with this. Even in just kind of preparing our communications campaign, education campaign on the issue, it was difficult to find data, for example, this time last year to now, because of the way the complaints come in. There's no great way to search that data in our system. So a lot of it's anecdotal. And then when we did start tracking it earlier this summer, we did, regardless of if it was a big increase or not, it seemed like a big issue, at least to our community members, and something that we wanted to address. So I'd say beginning in May or so this year, and especially with kids being out of school, we started becoming inundated with some of these complaints. I think it's over a couple hundred kind of at this point since the beginning of summer. So it was something that we really realized that we needed to do something about.
Yeah, it does seem like it reached a tipping point here recently to where you kind of see them here and there over the past couple of years, but really now they're everywhere. And so we wanted to also do it this time of year because, holidays are coming up, so we want to inform some parents, maybe, what they could buy for their kids and what they should avoid because they're not street legal.
Yeah, so we're also hoping to raise awareness with the community so that, ahead of holiday shopping season, you're not going out and buying something for your kid that they're going to be really happy about and then come to find out they can't ride it anywhere. So just kind of little extra information when you go to do your shopping and make sure that you know what you're buying and it's going to be able to be used in the way you want to.
Yeah, and you can include that in your letter to Santa too. Be like, I want this
I
sort
want
of
a class 1
right.
e-bike.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with kind of talking through what is legal and where. And I guess I'll just add to that caveat too that like this is all out of like helping make sure kids and everyone is safe on our roads. Roads have full-sized vehicles on them and people going fast, and these vehicles can get really fast. And so I think it's just important to like kind of caveat our whole conversation with like really the goal here is like education and safety and helping keep our community safe. So with that, let's start with what things are legal. So motor vehicles, obviously, e-bikes that are class 1 and 2, and then electric scooters, low-powered scooters, and then low-speed electric vehicles, which that's maybe the most confusing one for me. Can you kind of walk through each of those for us and what they are?
Yeah, definitely. So it also, to start, it's very difficult. This was a very difficult project for anybody to kind of tackle because the technology that we're seeing out on the streets is different in some cases than what we see in law. And law just doesn't always keep up with developing technology. And this is kind of the perfect example where a lot of times we're seeing something and we're looking at, okay, by law, what is it? And if it's not addressed somewhere in the law, we have to kind of make a judgment call about where it can be used, where it can't be used, to the best of our ability based off of everything in front of us. So yeah, to your point, motor vehicles, think of, your cars, typical thing you see on the street that, adults drive, have to be registered, insured, properly equipped, all of that. That's not what we're talking about today. But e-bikes, as you mentioned, there are 3 classes, class 1, 2, and 3. In that definition, an e-bike has to have an electrical assist motor of 750 or less watts to be classified as an e-bike. So this is another issue where a lot of times someone will refer to something as an e-bike, but by definition it is not because it exceeds that power limit. So with class 1 and 2, both go up to 20 miles per hour. With a class 1, the motor is assist only, so the rider has to be pedaling to get that benefit from the electric motor. With a class 2, it has essentially a throttle, and you don't have to pedal at all to get power from the motor. It gets a little confusing because with the class 3, you would think, okay, it's probably faster, and I don't have to pedal. Sort of, kind of. It is faster. They go up to 28 miles per hour, but more similar to a class 1, you have to be pedaling to get the assist from that motor. With class 1 and 2 e-bikes, basically anybody can ride. There's no age or licensing requirements with them. However, with the class 3, you have to be at least 16, and if you are under 18, you have to be wearing a helmet, whether you're the rider or, in some cases, a passenger, because you can put multiple people on some of these e-bikes.
Okay.
If that wasn't enough information, let's continue to electric scooters. So when you think of your Lime, Bird rentals that irritate people for a whole other reason that we don't have to get into today. So those are exactly what they look like, but they have handlebars, they weigh less than 100 pounds, and similar to class 1 and 2 e-bikes, they have a maximum speed of 20 miles per hour. Now, not to confuse people even more, but low-powered scooters, not electric scooters. However, a low-powered scooter can be electric.
Right.
Most are gas, but some are electric, but they're not electric scooters, let's be clear. They have a engine that is 50 cc's or less if it's gas-powered, or less than 4,776 watts of power if it's electric. With those, it's a little bit different because you don't have to have a motorcycle endorsement on a license, but they do need to be registered with the state and insured. And the registration process on that is a little bit different. It's not like your license plate and year and month tabs. It's a 3-year registration sticker. I believe 3 years. Don't quote me on that, but It is a little bit different, but it still has to be registered with the state.
And this is like a moped. Like
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of colloquially, we
Yep.
tend to call these mopeds, Vespas, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally, low-speed electric vehicles look like small cars or big golf carts, and they are electric. They are allowed on city streets with a speed limit of 35 miles an hour or less, and need to be properly equipped, driven by a licensed driver, all of that.
And yeah, so just to kind of clarify, the most of the devices I feel like we're seeing that are legal are the class 1 and 2 e-bikes, and those can be ridden just anywhere a regular bicycle can be ridden. So on our trails, in our streets, if you're, being safe, you can ride those e-bikes. Same with the electric scooters. And then when you get into the more like the low-speed vehicles, like you're talking about, those can be driven on streets, and obviously the motor vehicles can be driven on streets too.
Yeah, for everything we just talked about, class 1 or 2 e-bike can go anywhere a regular bike can go. Class 3 e-bikes can't go on trails. And with your class 1 and 2, you have to abide by the trail speed limit of 15 miles per hour, even though your bike can do 20. And then, of course, a low-powered scooter, low-speed electric vehicle, not allowed in the parks or trails.
Yeah. All right. Well done on remembering some of those very specific numbers on the.
It's been my life for a couple of weeks, so I
Yeah.
have, I've absorbed some of it, but yeah, it's incredibly dense and a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, and you have a great webpage that we can link to that breaks this all down. And so if you're trying to like rewind or remember exactly what wattage or power that each device can be up to, don't worry, you can just check the link in the show notes. All right, so let's get into the things that aren't allowed, Mr. Fun Police. What should people avoid? What can they not ride around?
So, and this is, unfortunately, these are the most of the vehicles we are receiving complaints about and are educating folks on and doing enforcement on fall into one of these two categories. It's either an off-highway vehicle or a toy vehicle. And in either case, with very, very few exceptions that we can talk about, are not allowed on a road, sidewalk, park, trail. Essentially, they can only be used on private property.
And so we're talking about vehicles that are designed for off-road dirt, like ATVs, dirt bikes, side-by-sides, those things all fall under the design for dirt category.
Exactly.
And then we also have toy vehicles. I feel like these are the ones that are becoming more and more popular, like your little toy motorcycle, electric motorcycle, go-peds, mini motorcycles. I think you described it recently of like if it looks like a larger vehicle but it's smaller, it's not legal probably.
Yeah, that's probably a toy vehicle at that
Yeah.
point. And I should clarify, with off-highway vehicles, obviously they can also be used in approved open areas that are public land. But if we're talking just within the city of Arvada, there is nowhere that I know of that is public land in the city of Arvada where an off-highway vehicle can be used.
And then golf carts also. Kind of you mentioned like if it's a low speed vehicle, it could be a golf cart, and if it's registered. But for the most part, almost entirely all golf carts, golf cars cannot be used on roads or trails or sidewalks.
Yeah, and I trip myself up on this all the time because I think it's an annoying definition. But golf cars, CARS, as defined by Colorado law, but we all call them golf carts, are not allowed on city streets, trails, sidewalks, all that, except for on the golf course. In some cases, if the state registers your golf cart as a low-speed electric vehicle, that's what it now is. Even if to us it looks like a golf cart, if the state has said, nope, that's a low-speed electric vehicle, then you're able to use it in the same way that you can another LSEV.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true of some people have their dirt bikes registered too. You see that from time to time. It's kind
Yeah.
of a similar concept.
Yeah, same thing. Like, by and large, a dirt bike, an ATV, a side-by-side is not going to be street legal. But if you have registered it with the state and it's registered, insured, properly equipped to be on the street, driven by a licensed driver with proper endorsement, if it's a dirt bike, then yeah, that can be legal. But again, to the point of this whole conversation, we're not seeing complaints about people riding a dirt bike legally.
Right.
So I know a lot of people get have gotten upset with us when we talk about just them all being outright illegal on the street. We do know there are some exceptions, and we're not trying to come after those legally registered and ridden dirt bikes.
So, good segue. How is the police department working on enforcing these illegal toy vehicles?
So since we kind of launched this education campaign 6-8 weeks ago, before that we had started educating the public that we came into contact with. So especially during the summer when our SROs were out of school, they were working in the parks, on trails, contacting kids to see, hey, are you riding a bike that you're legally able to and in a way that is safe? So there's a lot of education going on then, and a lot of enforcement. In a lot of cases, kids were on completely illegal vehicles, or riding very dangerously, unsafe, causing potential harm to themselves or others. So enforcement did take place early in the summer as well.
Why are these toy vehicles illegal? I mean, can't kids just be kids? I mean, what's the risk that's being posed from a safety lens?
Yeah, well, I mean, to your point earlier, a lot of these are, smaller versions of a larger vehicle. So, for starters, they don't have the proper safety equipment. They are not going to be seen on the road because they are so small. In the case of some of these pocket bikes, they are still able to go fast enough that you can really harm yourself. And yeah, they don't fit any of the definitions of vehicles under Colorado state law that are approved and primarily designed to be on the street.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you work in public safety, right? We're looking out for the best interests of our community, right? And so I feel like we wouldn't be doing your job if we were not trying to enforce these rules and make sure that people are being safe and kids are being safe. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sorry. I was thinking about, like, as a kid, I ride my bike everywhere, and it could only go so fast. And now you're talking about things that aren't equipped with the safety mechanisms. That's a good point. And just go faster, quicker, right? Like, I have to manually pedal a bike to get going that fast. I didn't have anything with a throttle on it to get me going 25, 30 miles an hour at 10 years old. Like, my ability to, I don't know that my coordination at 10 was good enough to be doing that without any, in a safe environment too, right? You never know when a car is going to turn that corner or, some person is, walking their dog at whatever.
Yeah,
There's so many things that can go wrong and just so many factors in those settings.
To that point, like as a father of a 6-year-old, like I wouldn't want him going, even sometimes on his bike, I'm like, that's a little too fast. Like I wouldn't want him to be able to go any faster than he's able to power himself. And so, yeah, there's no registration. There's no test for any of these toy vehicles to ensure that they can operate them safely. There's no often lights or blinkers or taillights or anything like that. So, yeah, we're just trying to keep people safe out there. And I'm sure you've seen some or heard some incidents already, with some children getting into some accidents, and we just want to avoid that as best we can. Yeah,
I mean, not to bring the mood down, but a couple weeks ago we had 3 13-year-olds that were on electric dirt bikes. They were doubled up on one, so it was 3 kids on 2 dirt bikes. Riding around town, they ran a stop sign. The first kid up front got through okay, but the second bike that had the 2 other kids on it didn't, and they crashed into a car that was passing by. And truly it was their fault. They shouldn't have been on the street, and they ran a stop sign. That's another component in all this where kids certainly probably don't realize it. Parents should. That if you are putting, even on a Class 2 e-bike, if you're putting a 13-year-old on a Class 2 e-bike that can do 20 miles an hour and saying, okay, yeah, it's fine, go run around town, we hope that there's education going along with that about safely riding amongst cars. Mm-hmm. I don't think I would have been able to do that at 13 very responsibly or safely. And,
right.
I guess luckily I didn't have this technology available to me, or who knows what might have happened. Yeah. But in this case with the 13-year-olds on these electric dirt bikes, one was severely injured, fractured his neck. And then, later in the investigation, we're looking at what they were riding. They were riding 2,000-watt electric dirt bikes that were capable of going up to 37 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Something a 13-year-old, if they're on a in a safe environment on track, sure, that might be prudent, that might be okay, but it's certainly not a place, not a person or a thing that should be on our road at that time.
Yeah, I mean, and then if you're thinking about a trail user, right, and if you're just kind of walking along and you one of these like 30 mile an hour electric motorcycles comes whizzing by, like that's a safety issue for the pedestrians at that point too. So
yeah, we get that just with e-bikes, right? Like just the 15, 20 mile an hour e-bike can be disconcerting for somebody, let alone something that's way more. And okay, well, not to totally switch gears, but it's also fall and our days are getting shorter, our seasons are changing, so it gets dark earlier. And so kind of in line with this, but also with all bike ped kind of safety, we can, there's, a lot of data and statistics out there that show that often incidents between drivers and cyclists or pedestrians increase this time of year as it gets darker earlier. And so what reminders or warnings should we remind people of?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned with daylight saving time, studies show that crashes tend to increase for a week following the change. So it takes a while for everybody to kind of adjust, especially that first day. So just heading into that, looking forward, just give yourself that extra awareness, kind of realize that, hey, this is affecting me, but if I'm on a bike, it's probably also affecting every other driver on the road. So just be extra cautious. Be aware of your surroundings. Obviously, all the normal stuff. Hopefully, you're wearing a helmet. If you are riding after dark, you need a headlight on your bike or your e-bike and a red reflector on the rear.
And probably best practice to be yourself also kind of reflective, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can go like full high vis, pants, jacket, vest, great. I know most people probably aren't going to do that, but yeah, please just don't go out, ride your bike after dark in all black. Don't do that.
Yeah, I know. I'm even just like walking my dog at night now, and I've got my handy headlamp, if nothing else, because I have a lot of black outer layers, which isn't great. But I'm on the sidewalk at least, and looking both ways. But I can kind of avoid the issues. But good reminders.
Got me thinking about 4:30 sunsets, and that's depressing.
It is. Yep.
It's awful when you go to work and it's dark, and you go home and it's dark, and you just miss the whole day.
Yep. Anyways, so before we move on to trivia, we wanted to provide one last opportunity to clear up any misconceptions, maybe just kind of reiterate the message that we want folks to get out of today's interview.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, just back to, I get it. In some ways, people think we're being the fun police, but it is really just all about protecting everybody in our community, especially some of these incidents we're seeing are involving kids that are 10, 11, 12, 13, and suffering some really bad injuries, and it's not something anybody wants to deal with, especially if just on the front end a little education and awareness of what you can and can't do might have prevented that. So that's our goal, is to keep everybody safe. Same thing on our trails. You mentioned people whizzing by on e-bikes. Like, please respect the speed limit, be courteous on the trail, give someone a heads up if you're coming up behind them and maybe they don't hear you. We just don't want to see any more people get injured from these sorts of vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely. I always think of when I'm in those like highly popular areas of the trails, it's like a good idea to kind of maybe take the headphones out too, just as I'm passing people, or vice versa. If I'm going to be passed, you won't be able to hear if you have the headphones in. So.
Yeah, totally.
All right, we have nixed the lightning round in favor of trivia. So we've got 3 trivia questions here for you, friend of the pod, Chase Amos. You ready? If you know the answer right away, we're going to let the other one guess, just because it's kind of more fun that way.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, question number 1 is kind of a mix of e-bikes and public safety. What is the Colorado safety stop law?
Oh, I know this.
Figured.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Maybe I know what it is, just not by that name.
I guess I should have come up with some multiple choice. I do have the multiple choice
Safety
answers.
stop is pretty much what it's colloquially known as. It's Colorado safety stop law because it's Colorado, but it's originally the Idaho safety stop was the first state to do this. I know everything about it, clearly. It's also in our October-November Arvada report right now.
Yeah. So what is it?
Page 10-ish. So if you're a cyclist or, low-powered electric type thing, then when you come up to a stop sign, you can treat it like a yield sign. So as long as the intersection is clear, you can pass through that intersection to safely get, and the idea is to safely get cyclists out of conflict zones more quickly. And so then when you're at a stoplight, if it's a red light and there's no oncoming traffic, you can you can treat it like a stop sign, essentially.
You
To be
got it.
clear, I knew what that was. I just didn't know that it was called that.
I was like, I bet you're going to know this.
Right. Yeah. And treat it like a yield sign, not like a green light, right? And like slow down and make
Yes,
sure.
definitely.
Yes.
You need the yield and the stop, and you are at fault if
Yeah.
you get hit.
And
Not that anyone would want that, but it's not going to be the oncoming traffic's
Right.
fault, because the yield is the idea that the person with the right of way, has the right of way, and you're
Yeah.
stopping if there's traffic.
And those are difficult because I think a lot of people just think, oh, I'm on a bike. I don't have to stop. I'm just going to blow through. And
Yeah.
obviously,
Right.
that's not what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see that happen too sometimes.
totally.
It's scary when you're the vehicle.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we do have multiple choice for the next two questions.
Okay.
All right, the Arvada Police Department has a vintage modified Volkswagen Beetle that is used to teach kids about public safety. Probably seen it out at events. I know it's been at the Kite Festival, probably like Arvada Fire Safety Day. What is the name of the car? Is it the Safety Bug? Is it Siren Says? Or is it the Badge Buggy?
Obviously, I know, so I'll give it to Kate.
I'm going with the badge buggy.
It's not the
Is it A?
It is not the Badge Buggy.
Siren Says.
It is Siren
Oh,
Says.
it was the one I really didn't think
Yeah.
it was. Okay.
So Siren Says was an idea
didn't know
from late Arvada police officer Edward McCarthy, who got the idea from the movie back in like the 70s or 80s, The Love Bug. And so it had like the big eyelashes and like it was all modeled after that movie and the character in that movie. The funny part was McCarthy apparently was a rather large man, and so it was kind of ironic for him to fit inside this sort of smaller vehicle. And McCarthy was a well-known figure in the Arvada community for his commitment to public safety. He was actually even known as the Lollipop Cop because he always kept Jolly Ranchers on him to hand out to kids. And in 1982, the year he retired, he even received the National Police Officer of the Year award. So.
Yeah, we still hear people on social media or in person, like he was beloved. Everybody has something good to say about McCarthy. The funny thing about the Bug, though, is it's still, and somewhere I saw, it's still like in our fleet on paper. So it's the oldest vehicle in our fleet because
Okay.
it's I think a 68 maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just funny when you're looking at like, a spreadsheet of like years of vehicles and just 1968 pops up there.
Yeah. It's probably oldest
Yeah.
by
A long
several
shot.
decades.
Yeah.
30
Yeah.
years, yeah, at least.
It's see if we can include a photo maybe in the show notes or like one of the reels.
Yeah.
But it's been kind of remade over the years. But it was interesting to find the original one in one of the Arvada history books that I pulled that information from. So,
Yep, very cool.
all right, question number 3. Obviously, e-bikes have exploded in popularity recently, but what decade was the e-bike invented? Was it the 1890s, the 1960s, or the 1980s? 1890s, 1960s, or 1980s?
I'm going with 1890s.
I'm going to go 60s.
1890s.
What?
Yeah.
It was so far off. I was like, it's probably right.
December 31st, 1895, Ogden Bolton Jr. was granted the first patent for a battery-powered bicycle. But it was like almost 100 years later, in 1989, a Swiss engineer developed what is the more sort of modern pedal assist e-bike. But back then, the 1890s, they were trying to come up.
I need to like find a history book probably and go back to see how they were dealing with these problems
Right,
in
yeah.
1890.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is wild if you flip through old Arvada reports. A lot of the same issues that we're still
Some
dealing
things
with
are
today.
evergreen.
Absolutely. All right, we have a bonus question. How many watts equals 1 horsepower?
Wrong person asked this question.
I want to say 100 or 1,000, but
I was gonna
might
guess
be
1,000, I
completely
don't know.
wrong either way.
So 750,
Oh.
which is
Oh.
about the equivalent of an e-bike. So an e-bike
makes sense,
is
yeah.
1 horsepower. Anything above that really isn't an e-bike anymore. It's an illegal toy vehicle.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps up trivia and our
Thanks.
interview today. Thank you so much, Chase.
Thanks. Yeah.
As a reminder, we love to hear from our listeners. You can text us with the link at the top of the show notes or send us an email at podcast@arvada.org. We love your questions and feedback and episode ideas or what you want to learn more from Chase about. And then news and events going on coming up soon. The annual leaf recycling drop-off event runs November 8th through the 22nd, and each day will be 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Saturday, closed Sundays at Stenger Sports Complex. That event is free and a part of the recycling and waste hauling program that the city runs for all residents. Just make sure to bring proof of residency and be prepared to dump out your leaves into the leaf piles. And then a project that has been in the works for several years now is finally getting to construction. The Alkire Street Trail project is scheduled to begin this week. And that project is constructing a detached trail on the west side of Alkire Street between 80th and 80th and 78th Avenues. And so there will be lane closures with alternating one-way traffic with flaggers directing the traffic during that project. And it's expected to take somewhere from 6 to 9 months of construction. So more info we'll link in the show notes at arvadaco.gov/Alkire Street if you want to learn more about that.
Yeah, in case you haven't heard, the Marge Roberts Park reopening occurred earlier this month on October 7th, and so that park overhaul project is complete, and that park is now open to the public. It includes a new basketball court, new walking paths, a new playground, and a new nature play area. It's located off Miller Street, right across from Let's Sports Complex. To learn more about that park, you can visit arvadaco.gov/Marge Roberts. And we are looking forward to our 2026 playground renovations. We have 3 parks that'll have new playgrounds, and the first step in that process is hearing from the community what sort of equipment and themes they want incorporated in these new playgrounds. The 3 parks that will have new playgrounds are Ralston Cove, Terrace Park, and Pioneer Park. We'll link to each of those project pages in the show notes so you can take that survey to provide your feedback. Those surveys do close here soon on October 31st, so go ahead and take those before the month is over. Thank you once again to our guest, Chase Amos from the Arvada Police Department. Be sure to catch our next episode with the city's housing manager, Carrie Espinoza. Today's podcast was recorded and edited by Arvada Media Services, and today's fun fact is that sales of e-bikes in the United States increased by 72% alone in 2020.
Whoa.